Time tracks. Okay, before we start talking, I'd just like to just sort of settle in and have a little short grounding meditation just to bring us into the now, into this time track right here. So yeah, just take a couple of breaths. Breathe right down into your base chakra. Feel the feel the stillness start to come forth. Now just raise the breathing up into your sacral chakra, just below your navel. And notice the difference that feels as you do that. Allow yourself to become connected with your energetic body. Just feel this energy is of the breath, the prana energy just filling up your physical as it does so, just exciting all of the cells in your body. Just bringing you to a place of groundedness, centeredness. And invite you now to bring that breath up into your heart space. And imagine that you're breathing in and out of your heart space. And just note if that feels a little different to breathing out of the other areas. Perhaps feel a radiance as you do this. Just allow yourself with your intent to connect to your higher self. A connection that is always there. Yet in the hustle bustle of every day, we quite often ignore that connection, just as we ignore our energetic body as well. Get all up into our head and start hustling through the day. But for now, be in your heart, in that heart energy, and allow the field of your heart to expand and radiate outwards. And also to extend inwards that connection to your higher self, to spirit, to you, the true essential nature of you. Because realistically today, that's what we're talking about. The connection of you to all things through all time and space. And specifically to the multiple layers of you that exist beyond the physical, beyond the mental and emotional. You've had many instances, incarnations outside of this life, but also within this life. We spoke a little bit about time tracks last Friday morning when we were doing spirit guidance, and made me realize there are probably multiple aspects of time tracks. Within this life, we spoke about the time track splits that we can have where we get to a decision point where, it's not just about whether you have Wheaties or chocolate biscuits for breakfast, though. It's a little bit more than that. See, we all come in with a blueprint. We have a blueprint. Our sort of people might call it soul contracts, all sorts of other interesting little words that we have, but you have a blueprint. And we've spoken about blueprints before. We've spoken about the fact that a good friend of mine, David Bauer, the Lemurian healing guy, he likes to term a blueprint as going on vacation. When you're going somewhere, some of you have heard this, but for the benefit of those that haven't, it'll help to contextualize things. You're going on holidays. You know where you're going. You kind of know when you're going. Well, I hope you kind of know when you're going. You've got some hotels booked. You've got an itinerary, I guess, realistically. But once the holiday starts, the plane could be delayed. I hope it's not delayed for Catherine today. The plane can be delayed. The hotel you rock up at could be horrible, or it could be way better than you thought it was going to be. Those tours you had planned, yeah, you changed your mind. So there are decision points along the way when you go on holidays. Sometimes sometimes it just works out all perfectly, and sometimes your luggage, as happened to me last time I went to America, ends up in Canada. And when you get home, though, when you come home after that journey, what you talk about, as well as the good things, but what you really mainly talk about is all the things that went wrong. They're the best stories, aren't they? So here we are on this life, on this vacation from our true essential nature, here to bump up against the 3D world. And there are obviously decision points. They're things that we planned before we came here. They're things that happen that knock us, I guess you could say, knock us off trajectory. And it's my belief that at those points, with emotion and the action that occurs, we we can have a split off our time track, off our proposed time track. And I say proposed because, like a vacation, it's kind of fluid. So we can get split off our proposed time track. Sometimes that split can send us, you know, into into some kind of trauma, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, which means at some stage you're going to want to come and have a healing session to clear that, or do some personal work and clear that situation that happened. But what it really is at that point in time, you were kind of split off. You had your plan, your original time track, and you were split off to another time track. Now, it's my belief that both those time tracks actually exist contemporaneously. And as these things come along, we get more and more splits, like the branches of a tree. And we can end up over this side of the tree when we really should have been in the middle here, which I guess the middle is the kind of place where you really wanted to be. And and so there can be parallel versions of this lifetime that exist contemporaneously. And jumping across to get back to center can be a series of jumps through healing or personal self-work, bringing you back to center, back to that original flow that you were on. We often hear people saying they feel like they're off center, they're, insert words here. And this is the reason why. So getting back onto those, back to your original plan, perhaps. Some people do, some people don't. Maybe not being there is okay as well, because things will be what they will be. But when we go back there, what we do is we're really, if you were on the massage table having a healing session or whatever kind of healing session you might be having, then what you're going to do to heal those things is you're really going to go back in time. You're going to project yourself back to the point where the split occurred. It's a little bit like quantum physics, where when a particle is split, one particle goes off one way, half another one goes off the other way. And scientists have proven that they can find out where this particle is by asking this particle what happened back in time at the split. So here we see a bit of fluidity in time that's proven by physics, where where you do go back in time and you rectify the split, and whatever healing modality you might use, you bring yourself back at that point in time and loop time on the old time track and bring yourself back onto the time track that you prefer by creating a new dimension of time. So we're not talking about healing technology or, sorry, healing techniques here, but consider it. Even when you do sit for yourself and, do a conflict deconstruction, those of you that follow the create your destiny stuff, that's really what you're doing. You're actually reconstructing what happened and bringing it back to a preference that you would rather have had. So yeah, that's what that's one dimension of time tracks. Mm. It's a pretty much a surface one, really, and we're all pretty much aware of it, whether it's psychology, whether it's spiritual healing, whether it's shamanic healing, whatever it is. We're really, really bring ourselves back where we've made a split, where we've been knocked off the path. Okay, but there's more depth, really, because you, within this cycle of time, this cycle of the earth, there's no dinosaurs around in this cycle, is there? But there wasn't another cycle of time. Maybe this one, who knows? Gosh, we get so baffled by science, don't we? By scientists trying to make sense of the time track of the earth. Mm. So anyway, cycles of time. Time goes in cycles. It does. And those cycles, bring it back to your this soul instance of you, those cycles, those dimensions of time. You're a dimension. You're a cycle of time. Your lifetime is a cycle of time. A day is a cycle of time. Uh, an issue that occurred for you, one of those ones that knocked you off your time track or off your vacation plan. That's a dimension of time. And that's why we can go back to that particular thing that happened, to that dimension of time and rectify it. Okay. So bringing it up to cycles of time. Within this cycle, you've had many, many incarnations, past lives, we call them. But you've also had future lives. Now, the term past lives is pretty well known. But what is time anyway? I've had people who've been on the table. I think in my podcast, my Mystic Way podcast, I mentioned one girl who got on the table. We did a healing session. She went back a few years in this lifetime. And when she got off the table, she says, "Oh my God, I now realize how easy it was that I manifested the car that I wanted when I didn't have any money." She got a brand new car. And we realized that what had happened was at this, so there's the time track of this life, and here she is buying the car. So we were here up the time track. We went back to before she bought the car, and it wasn't about the car, but before she bought the car and cleared something here, which then allowed the car to manifest in her life. So a future healing session that went to the past created something that had already happened. How's that for interesting? Doo, 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 doo. Yeah, it's interesting stuff, isn't it? But back to cycles of time. You've had many, many incarnations in this life. And if you've done past life regression, which of course infers that you are the epitome, you are the the top of the or the last of your line, okay, in as far as past lives go, which is kind of funny when you think about it, because you've had future lives in this cycle of time as well. Because as we've said before, and I'm trying not to talk too much about time right now, but we'll see how it goes. Let's just adopt the premise that time is an illusion. Everything exists contemporaneously. Okay, so all your past lives exist, as do all the future lives that you, from this perspective, are going to have within this cycle of time. So there's there's versions of you that exist outside of this physical soul incarnation, who have different talents, who who have had different experiences. Now, a lot of the time when we go back to a past life, it's because we think, oh my God, something happened in a past life and I need to clear it. Okay, that's fair enough, particularly if you are the epitome of the lessons that all of your past incarnations have learned. Then there could be some things brought forward in time that are not for your highest good. But consider that there could also be things in past or future lives, in parallel lives within this cycle of time that can be to your highest benefit. What about the version of you that that has learned all of the lessons? I almost said mistakes, but I'll use the word lessons. What about the version of you that has learned all of the lessons that you are here to learn in this lifetime? We'll call it your next incarnation. Wow, how would that be to draw on the version of you that has learned what it is that you're here to learn? That'd be kind of like having a mentor, wouldn't it? Mm. So there is a parallel version of you that has conquered the things that you're struggling with. Mm. There's also a parallel version of you because within cycles of time, the concept of a cycle of time is that within a cycle of time, you your spirit, the essential nature of you, because you're just one instance. I mean, when I die and I'll become, you know, reincarnated, I guess. Well, actually, I don't really like using the term reincarnated. Well, remind me, we'll have to talk about that sometime, but I won't get off track, off this time track. Ha. Um, yeah, it won't be Martin that reappears, spirit in another body. Heck, I have actually been to past lives within this incarnation where I was not human. And I've actually taken people back to the incarnation that they had before the octave of being human. So there's different octaves. There's octaves of of plant, of animal, of you know simple life forms like amoebas and such. Um, each of these, um, and I don't want to get into octaves too much either, but within each cycle of time, as spirit becomes more and more aware, the life form becomes more and more advanced. Okay, so you've got a cycle of time within which the cycle is about conquering, I guess, or learning what it is within that cycle of time that spirit has set it up for. I believe in this cycle of time, it's about free will, about choice, funnily enough, for all you CYD people. The cycle of time is about choice, choosing, having the ability to choose what it is that you would prefer, tempted into it's almost like, sounds like I'm talking about the Garden of Eden almost, doesn't it? The temptation of the forbidden fruit, which, uh, which if you want to dig into that, was sort of not for the benefit of all, or choosing for the benefit of all, and not to be slaves in the Garden of Eden, but to be a collective of loving, caring people. I think that's the choice within this. That's the cusp of this particular cycle of time. So each cycle of time has a reason and an evolution of spirit through several octaves. We're in the human octave, okay? But as I'm saying, within that cycle of time, into you'll be born into a different body next time. When I say I've had past lives, well, my spirit has, but I haven't. And I hope this is not too deep. So yeah, when I have taken people back to the past life that they had immediately before they became human, it's really interesting. The characteristics of that past life actually exist within that person's physiology or psychology. Um, I had a person who was quite flighty and could never really settle on things, and took her back to the past life she was before she was human, and she was like an antelope in the in Africa, who strayed from the pack, or from the herd, I should say, and got snaffled by a crocodile. Believe it or not, tall tales but true. And of course, that's so she was always on the lookout, and she was always wanting to be part of a group of something, and never felt comfortable on her own. And then once that incarnation was cleared, then of course she became quite comfortable in her own skin. Didn't need to be doing a risk assessment all the time to see if there were crocodiles around. Interesting, isn't it? So my point is, all the past lives, all the lives you've had within this octave, all the time tracks, okay, bring it back to timelines, time tracks, which I believe is pretty much the same thing. Coming back to the time tracks you've had in this cycle of time. Some of those may not even be human. Okay, so if we think about the octaves up to human, what could the next octave be? Okay, we got gas, we got solid matter, we've got simple life forms, we've got plants, we've got animals, there's insects in there somewhere too. So there's each level there is an increase in personal awareness, shall we say. So here we are as a human. What's the next one? Is there another one? I don't know. Maybe in some ways, maybe that's where what we call higher self sits. Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe as a lot of people believe, human is the epitome. Of course we are. That's what ego is all about, isn't it? What I'm saying is, therefore, bringing it back to what we're talking about here, because I'm rambling a little bit. No, well, I don't apologize for that because I believe whatever's coming through is going to be relevant for at least one, two, three, four, eight of you. Hey. So if we want to jump time tracks, there's just a myriad of time tracks that we can call on within our own self essential nature spirit experience. Okay. In a minute, someone's going to say, but how do I do that? I just want to lay out the framework first, though. So, yeah, you want you got to front up to somewhere to run a seminar or a workshop and you're absolutely crapping yourself about it, you know? Where's the version of you that has that talent, that has that skill? Because there is one. There has to be. A fellow called, I think Phil Golding, I think his name is, or Bill Golding. Bill, yeah. Um, he talked about quantum jumping, which is pretty much the same thing. And he taught himself to play piano by jumping into a version of himself that had already learned how to play it, actually. And I don't know how long it took him to actually get the fingers working, but he did. He learned piano in a ridiculously short period of time by simply downloading the program, a little bit like Neo on Matrix, you know? So all these things are possible. But I want to get a little bit more etheric. Okay. So time tracks within this incarnation, those splits, the things that we normally heal or overcome in some way through through choices, through preferences, through getting into the energy of the end result, through doing a parallel you exercise, even that we've done in these master classes. Okay. And then there's extending that to your, I'm going to call it a soul family. It's a dangerous word, but all of the different incarnations that you have, that your spirit has had within this cycle of time. But what about other cycles of time? What about other cycles? What about the cycles of time that you had, those of you that have joined me in the Lemurian Fellowship? I think you've all, if you have joined me in the Lemurian Fellowship, I think there's only one person here that hasn't, then you will know that you feel very, very connected to Lemuria. And Lemuria was a cycle of time. And in the meditations that we've done in that group, you may have even met a version of yourself that was a Lemurian version of you. Mm. Yeah, so there's a version of you that exists in a different cycle of time. And using Lemuria as an example is a good one. You know, we say that Lemuria was way more advanced, and I believe they were, than this cycle of time. But when you connect with Lemuria, and some of you may remember the meditation that we did where we met a Lemurian version of us, and we walked with them. I think we went to if I remember correctly, we went to the Lemurian Council and realized that, oh, hang on a minute, I was on the Lemurian Council, which is good because within that cycle of time, how many incarnations did you have in that cycle of time? You didn't just have one lifetime in Lemuria. No, you had many, perhaps beyond count. as per in this life, in this cycle, perhaps beyond count. So if you had many, many lifetimes in Lemuria, what about lifetimes you had in other cycles of time? These are all time tracks, aren't they? What about the cycle of time when there was the sort of magic that we dream of that Tolkien brought forward? A cycle of time with elves and hobbits and things like that. What about a cycle of time with the Game of Thrones, maybe? I don't know. But a lot of these things, I really do think that a lot of those things are actually channeled. I mean, I don't want to talk about the validity of either of those as a parallel version of time, but these things, they so ring true to you, don't they, sometimes? They really do. Yeah. I don't think I was a hobbit, but I think I was definitely in that cycle of time. Yeah. So, all these fable characters that are echoes from different cycles of time. I'm going to drop a clanger here. What about reptilians? Who knows about reptilians? Give me a wave if you know about reptilians. Okay, almost everyone here knows about reptilians. Those evil suckers, hey, bad reptilians. Well, guess what? That was a cycle of time. And guess what? You were there. Let that sink in a little bit. You were there. Yeah. I mean, spirit has to progress through these cycles of time. What is there to learn in this cycle of time? I believe it's free will. What was there to learn in Lemuria? Unconditional love. What was there to learn in Middle Earth? I don't know. It was just for fun. What was there to learn in the reptilian cycle of time? Overcoming, overcoming the reptilian urge to whatever, getting to a higher mind, getting out of action reaction, pure survival, perhaps. That's what just came through. So think about those reptilians, perhaps not as, you know, in their own cycle of time, as not perhaps being evil, but being evolving. Mm, time tracks. I have a vision that in each cycle of time, there was an epitome for you. There was an incarnation of you in each cycle of time who had actually achieved the level of awareness of spiritual consciousness that was required within that cycle of time, be it reptilian, elven, dwarf, Lemurian, Arcturian, Pleiadian, Lyrian, human. If you're getting my gist here, you might start to pull together why some people believe that they're an Arcturian, you know. Well, that's because that's maybe not coexisting in this cycle of time, but in a different cycle of time and contemporaneously, because all things exist at once. Just as much as some of you believe you've had lifetimes in Lemuria, some people have had lifetimes as ETs, Lyrian, Arcturian, etc. Okay, so yeah, I have a vision. Imagine a lock. You know how a key goes into a lock, right? And when all the cylinders line up, so the cylinders are all over the joint, and when the key goes in, it pushes them and everything lines up, instead of when the key's not there and everything's like a crazy looking hand. When the key goes in, it makes all the things go in a straight line, right? Which allows you to turn the lock and the door opens. Okay. Imagine each one of these little fat fingers here is a lifetime, a cycle of time where that incarnation cracked the code, and this incarnation cracked the code, and this one cracked the code, and this one cracked the code. Can you imagine lining up all of those past, I'm going to say past incarnations that you've had, which were each one was the epitome of the cusp of that cycle of time? Wouldn't that just unlock the code? Wouldn't that just unlock the door for you? Mm. We have seen this happen. And it's pretty powerful stuff. Yeah. So, okay. At this point in time, I'm just going to pause for a moment and just ask for a few comments. How's this landing with you? Have I blown anyone's mind? Is it making sense? Mm.
Yeah, it makes sense to me, Martin, because in my studies with quantum healing, we often use a future version of yourself
Mm.
to like to look at and to say, well, this is you, right?
Mm.
This is you a year from now,
Mm.
right?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit like the parallel you thing that we did
Exactly.
back
Yeah.
earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Where's the version of you that has overcome this particular
This particular issue or whatever.
issue, or
Yeah.
or has the talent that you haven't yet developed within yourself, playing the piano, for instance?
Yeah.
For myself, it happened when I had to run a workshop at a men's event, and I really, really wanted it to be great. And so I stepped into a version of myself that was well, it was like I wrote a choice for those people that do choices. And I said, I choose the end result of being a world-renowned spiritual teacher, effective spiritual teacher. And I stepped into that that parallel version of me and assimilated it. And that was on the Friday morning. Saturday morning, I was at the place, and wow, it was. I'd never run a workshop so well ever before. And the funny thing was that normally at these men's events, because they have several workshops running at once, you might get, between, you know, 10 or 15 people come to your workshop, and like 35 people rock up. It was really interesting. And also the interesting part about it, and this is for your benefit, not for me bragging, because I got no ego in this at all. It was purely spirit. I got there and I put my chair down and put two chairs either side of me on the arc that I had imagined the circle would fill to. Okay. So I sort of angled them. I didn't realize I was doing this, but I did it. And three or four guys rocked up and sort of put the chairs in a circle really close. And I said, no, pop them out wider, put them out wider. And more guys came and they put the circle in thinking that was it. I said, no, put them out wider, put them out wider. And by the time 35 people, I think it was, or 33 or 35 people rocked up, the arc of the circle was exactly what I had in my mind when I put those three chairs together at the beginning. Interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Then the other thing was with the world renowned thing, the following week I had three inquiries, a person in Portugal and someone in Europe. So this happens. Now, okay, why did it slow down? Oh boy, the amount of personal development that I've gone through in the last 18 months since I stepped into that version of me that is that spiritual teacher that I know that I have to be, because that's my blueprint. That's why I'm here. Thank you for rocking up. Um, yeah, you know, sometimes you get this big epiphany and then it stops, and you think, "Oh no, come back, come back." Everyone's nodding, but what happens is, okay, spirit shows you the destination, and then you're gonna have to overcome ego. You're gonna have to overcome shadow. You're gonna have to overcome resistance. You're gonna have to overcome all the little programs that you set up to stop yourself from being what it is that you really prefer to be, because those things are the reason why you're not it already. True? Yeah. Not that we can't, well, yes, we can jump straight into it, because I did. It was crazy. I had two workshops to run that day, and the second workshop, after I'd finished running it, people, these men were in tears. Most of them were crying because of the depth of it. And no one, and I'd finished, and I said, okay, we're done. And no one would get up. They all sat there like, wouldn't move. And I had to get up and open the circle shamanically to release the energy that we'd created as a group before anyone could actually move. I mean, they could have used their willpower and got up, but it wouldn't have been right. It was amazing. So this can happen for you, you, and you. Whatever it is that you want to create in your life, what it is that you prefer, you want to do, be, or have, you can do it using the using using time track jumping, because it already exists within your field. You just need to tune into it. Mm. Anyone else got anything they'd like to say at this point in time? Hey, Nick.
I know how interested I am in this topic, but I'm just thinking, as soon as you said, I can't remember what you said, but 5 seconds ago, I was like, nah, this is not the nutshell of this conversation. And I feel like, when you were talking, and I met you about that time 18 months ago when
Mm.
you were preparing to go in, and that's what you'd done. Like, I
Mm.
met you just after that. Um, but it's about having those sharp arrows of what is it that I want. And so knowing what you want so you can step into that time track with, that, yeah, the sharpest arrow you
Mm.
can. Um, and I just feel like this isn't the first conversation on a Friday morning that we're all going to have, and that maybe our homework is to bring the sharp arrow
Yeah, that's a
and
really good
play
idea.
together.
Yeah, yeah, love to do that. Yeah.
So just, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what came. But yeah, like all of this, I think yes, there's lots to sort of process and integrate because it's such a broad topic
It
in
is
one
a
sense.
broad topic, and I've sort of really had trouble scoping it in, but I
I'm
thought the best
sure.
way to approach this today was to talk about the layers that are here,
Mm,
you know, the layers within this lifetime. And like we spoke about on Zoom after the spirit guidance,
yeah.
we're split offs in this lifetime. Okay.
Mm,
Healing, they can be healed totally.
mm,
Past and future lives within this cycle.
mm,
There's another layer of time tracks, and then time tracks that exist through all time and space across multiple cycles of time. It really is a multiverse. It really, really is. So if you
I think
imagine,
it's like the tree that you said
it is like the tree.
initially, but the rings of the tree, the ages of, the rings of the tree.
The age rings, yeah.
Yeah. Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
It certainly is.
So
Yeah,
cool.
it is. So when you do want to step into the version of you, or a version of you that has already achieved what it is that you want to achieve, it's important not to limit yourself to just what's happened in this lifetime, but to know that there are versions of you out there beyond time and space that have skills that you need. There are versions of you out there, like we said, if there's a version of you in an octave higher than human within this cycle of time, that is possibly what we might call higher self. Yeah, who knows? Yeah. And so you connect to higher self. Higher self's got it all. Your higher self is sitting there. And I don't want to limit higher self to just being in an octave of time, which is not human. Spirit, perhaps, because really spirit is above all of that. They're fractals, you know. Great spirit, which is the stillness that encompasses all of what we're speaking about today, this whole cosmology. Each each instance of each instance of a point of consciousness is a fractal of that spirit. And perhaps a cycle of time is a fractal. And within that cycle of time, there are fractals. Within there are fractals within fractals. Sort of, yeah. How more esoteric can you get than that? But before we wrap up, let's just do a little meditation on this and just see how it sort of settles in. I've taken a really broad brush on this one. So I really want you all to have the ability to sort of think outside of the box being this soul here. And I really did want to talk about time today, but I'm not going to. Oh boy, there's a scientist guy. I can't remember what he calls himself, but there was. I've come across so many different things about time in the last week. I'm surprised we're not talking about time as a thing, but not this time. Maybe next time. um, and it's on my Facebook page. It's probably the second last post. I don't know. It's there. There's this guy, and he's talking about time, and he actually kind of proves the fact that time is not a constant. Well, he definitely proves that time is not constant, and he definitely proves that time can stand still. It's worth a listen if you have a chance to jump on, and I actually follow this guy because he's fascinating stuff. He brings physics. He brings physics in. He doesn't talk about spirit, but he may as well, because what he describes is so amazing, and really dovetails into this kind of work. Yeah. So have a listen to that, and that might be a precursor to our next chat. We'll see. So let's settle in for a little bit. It's 5:02. We usually wrap up about the quarter past. So it's time to just digest all the information that's come through today and see where spirit takes us. Now, if there is a skill, a gift, a talent, or something that you are struggling with at this point in time that you would like to overcome, or a choice that you have that you would like to manifest, why not do that? Mm. So if there is such a thing within your consciousness right now, bring it forward. And as you tune in to your essential nature, into your heart space, become connected to your energetic body. Of all the various time tracks that are available to you out of your spirit experience, and let's now call forward the ones or the one that has the answer for you today. Just allow yourself to feel into this void, this spaciousness. I'm not going to lead too much because it will be different for each one of you. What do you sense right now? Feel the expansiveness of possibilities. So now calling forth for each one of you independently on your own separate dimension of time. The time track for your highest and best good version of you, the essential nature of you, which has already assimilated that which you desire to bring forth into your life at this point in time. A version of you who has the wisdom and the knowledge to guide you to completion of that thing which you wish. A version of you whom, should you choose to assimilate now, can give you in this now moment all that you need to move forward with confidence and courage to complete that thing which you desire to achieve. Across all time and space, call upon that time track, that version of you. Feel into the energy. See, perhaps, that instance, that point of spiritual consciousness, whatever form it may take. He, she, or it. And say now to this energy, do you love me unconditionally? Do you love me unconditionally? Do you love me unconditionally? If the answer is yes, then accept that energy. Assimilate that time track. Be, do, or have that thing that you wish for is already done. Note any resistances that you may feel. If there are any, they don't need to be, but there may be. And if there are any resistances that you feel, then note these as being the minor obstacles that you can release to fully embody this energy. They don't need to be, but they may be. And determine within yourself that you will do, be, or have this thing that you wish for, that you prefer. Your life will now be, do, or have that thing within it, and determine to allow it to manifest. So be it. So be it. So be it. Uh, Just bring yourself gently back. The Hopi Indians of North America used to say, Aho mitakoyasin, which means all of my relations. I think now, if you've heard that phrase before, I think now you might understand exactly what it means. It means all of my relations. All of my incarnations across all time and space. When they call upon their ancestors, they're not just calling upon their granddads and great granddads, and they're calling upon all of their relations. Thank you. So let's end this with a couple of shares. Oh, thank you, Spirit. How was that experience? Did you go on, Nick? I can always count on you.
I don't know. Letting Eva go first. And
Ah,
Bill
Eva.
always has something to say, but he's such a gentleman and he just lets everyone speak first.
He does. Ah,
Oh, that was so beautiful. And I'm sure I went here in the parallel U. It's not the first time that I've landed on this particular stage. It's actually an anchor point for a number of my choices, actually.
mm,
Um, but the choice I went with today was to end result of living a life of abundance and liberation beyond my wildest dreams. Um,
absolutely.
but
Beautiful.
that comes with Nick, the medicine woman, sharing her medicine and wisdom and heart-opening drum journeys, on this
Beautiful.
stage. And it's a worldwide stage, not in Australia. Um, yeah. So yeah, it was really beautiful because I loved that stage, and because I've been there lots of times, I have quite a strong image of what happens and who I am when I am at that stage. Um, mm.
Are
so it
you
was
are you
super
calling
expensive.
in? Are
Mm.
you calling in some medicine from another version of you when you do that?
Mm.
Do you think?
I'm just, it is the highest version of me.
Mm,
That's what it feels like. That is, I feel the emotion when I get on that stage, that unconditional love, that this is like I can feel the tears of like, oh
mm,
my God, it's like I've made it. Like, you know, but then there's more. I know there's more, but that's like a sort of want to say set point, but it's not quite what I'm looking for. But yeah.
mm.
Hmm. Um,
Fantastic.
yeah, very cool. So thank you.
Pleasure. Pleasure.
Over to you, Eva.
Eva.
Ah, um, that was the whole session has been calm and made sense, like not in a, well, yeah, just made sense, filtered, sat, heart, head, dimensions, and that experience. I was doing my own thing different to what you were saying, and it was just coming to me, and it was so rich. And I've come back with an anchor, and I feel like my voice is different. And um, yeah, I'm choosing to be doing have what I've brought back and to move from this point in time. So it was great to have that healing journey this morning,
Mm,
and
lovely.
yeah, share it in this energy. And there was just such ease and grace. It was, yeah, thank you for um, setting up this sacred space.
Thanks,
And
Eva.
the setup just, yeah, let it, let it
Mm,
happen.
thank you. Thank you. Anchor was the word. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Anchoring that energy is just so important. Yeah. Let's just drift away from it, you know, get busy, kids, work, you know, programs, assumptions, beliefs, habits. Bring it all in. Um, Someone, I think it might have been Bashar, said when you do anchor into a future version of yourself, or it's not really future, but we'll just use that word, another version of yourself that already has this, it's like it's drawing you towards it. And the speed of that trajectory can happen just like that, or it can happen like this. Depending on whether or not you want to stuff around, which the universe is quite happy for you to do, or whether you want to actually be there now. And one of the keys to not being there now is to recognize what it is that you prefer about your current situation that you don't want to let go of, to move into the preference of what you really, really want. That's an Instagram quote right there. Does anyone else have anything they would like to add or share?
I'm happy to share, Martin. I
Hi,
feel so,
Nikki.
I just feel so calm and so grounded. More importantly, just really connected, to my heart. And I'm kind of in a space of anything is possible, it's that feeling, that real, like there's just endless opportunities out there if only we choose to bring them in and focus on them, and be open to receive them, I think. So thank you so very much. I really appreciated that.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. I'm pleased that you could join us today.
Thank you.
It's lovely to have your energy here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So here's a call out. Someone mentioned homework. I don't know who it was that mentioned homework. I think it was Nick. I'm going to give you all some homework between now and the next Friday or Thursday, depending where you are, interactive Zoom session. Whatever it is that you had, I want a full report. Yeah. How about you commit to manifesting that thing and just allow it to happen? And when we come back together, let's have a check-in and see how it's gone. Now, there is no judgment. There is no expectation. Simply encouragement. So if you come up in 3 weeks' time and say, holy hell, nothing happened, that's all right. Or you come back in 3 weeks' time and say, holy geez, I'm a rocket scientist. That's cool too. Doesn't matter. Because as a collective, which I think we are, as a collective, we are a supportive community. And I love that. I do. I really love it. So let's be supportive. Let's bring our hearts on our sleeves next time. And I don't know, if you've had a few hiccups along the way, maybe we can do a group healing session for you or something like that, We'll see what happens. And maybe we'll talk about time, or maybe we'll talk about something else, because as I say in a lot of my posts, I often don't know what I'm going to talk about until I even get just right here, but that's all right because I love it that way. And yeah, usually, a week to 10 days out, things start to crystallize around what we're going to talk about, like it did this time. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you for bringing your energy. I'll pop the recording off to you as soon as I can get it sorted out so you can have a re-listen if you like. And yeah. I've just put this Substack thing up, so hopefully I'll be putting some interesting things up on Substack. I don't know if you received an email about it or not. You should have. But if you didn't, have a look in your junk folder and put me on your whitelist. I guess I'll be putting a fair few things through on Substack. It seems like a really good place to blog. Hey, Eileen, did you want to say something?
Yeah, how do we access some of the stuff without, so I joined the free version of it, the non-paid one. Is there any stuff that we can access? I couldn't work out how to get into
Ah, well, all that's there at
stuff.
the moment is the welcome email. I haven't put anything else up yet.
That's why.
Maybe I should have made that clear.
Okay, thank you.
But I will be, and I'll probably wear up. Look, I think Substack's a really good place to put little excerpts from this, and dig a little bit deeper. I do intend to put the more of the depth in the paid subscriptions. Thank you if you can, because that helps to support the work. But there'll be a lot of stuff in there, and it'll be one of the areas where I'll be putting up more and more material as it comes through. I've got a couple of people that I know on Substack, and it seems to work really well. It's not invasive, so to speak, like Facebook and things like that, but it does allow you to follow along the thread of things like this. So I'm excited to see how that journey goes. Yeah. All right, everybody. Lots of love. Thank you. And I'll see you all in, well, Lemurian circles, I don't know, week on Monday or something, and this one's 3 weeks away, so woohoo! See you all there. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Lots of love.
Thanks.
You
See ya.
too.
Ian.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.